Yo, what's up, everybody? We are basically at the end of our. Yo, what's going on with this thing? We're basically at the end of Workbook 2. We still got this last slide to do, so let's do it, man. This last slide is about conventions. You might be thinking to yourself, yo, that sounds kind of familiar. Well, it's because we talked about this before, really lightly. There was a quiz for it. But yeah, we did talk about this before. We're going to talk about it again. And guess what? We're going to talk about it again later on, too. This is stuff that we need to review over and over and over again. To review it, man, let's go to another slide presentation. I like another slide presentation better. Yeah, this one. And I'm going to make myself smaller, and I'm going to put myself right here over the take the Google form quiz here. Now I'm going to cover that up. Bam. And then let's go, man. What are conventions? Conventions are the traditions of rules of written English. The following are some of the most important ones. Number one, capitalize the first letter of each sentence and all proper nouns. Number two, spell all words correctly. Number three, use periods or other appropriate punctuation pieces at the end of each sentence. Number four, indent the first line of each new paragraph. And then number five, make sure each sentence has a subject and a verb and that it is and forms together a complete thought. Does that look familiar? All right, here we go. Let's go back to the other slide. If you got to pause, then pause, but we'll go back. Um, so yeah, let's take a look at some of these questions right here. What are the five main conventions of proper writing? Well, we can just simplify it by saying, number one, correct grammar. Number two, correct spelling. Number three, correct punctuation. Number four, correct capitalization. Number five, correct spacing. Here's the important part. How do we check for grammar errors? Well, something important to know when you're typing up in Google Docs and there's like a blue squiggly underline under stuff that you're typing, that stuff says that there's a grammar issue, a grammar problem, and if you right click that squiggly underline with your cursor, it'll give you a suggestion, a recommendation to use. 95% of the time, that recommendation on the blue squiggly underline is correct, so I'd use it if you weren't sure. But every now and then it's not correct. Like you're saying something that it doesn't recognize what you mean. So if you're correct, just ignore it. Okay? How do you check for spelling errors? Well, when you're typing on Google Docs, every now and then you're going to see the red squiggly underline under words that you're typing. What that means is there's a misspelled word. So right click on that red squiggly underline and it'll give you a recommendation for how to spell it correctly. 99% of the time they're right. How do you check for punctuation errors? I just want to say this mostly. Make sure the end of your sentences have the proper like closing punctuation piece. If you're asking a question, you have to use a question mark. If you're yelling something like in a really intense and kind of loud way, you have to use an exclamation mark. And if it's just a normal sentence, then of course you end it normally with a period. How do we check for capitalization errors? I'll just say this. Make sure you capitalize the first letter of each sentence. Also, make sure you capitalize all proper nouns, all names, all proper nouns, including the first letter of each word in your title. Your title is a name. Therefore, your title is also a proper noun. Last one, how do you check for spacing errors? Okay, two things. Number one, always indent the first line of each paragraph. And all you have to do is press the tab button, which is on the top left-hand side of your keyboard on your device. Press the tab button once. and it indents perfectly each time. The other spacing thing that I've seen that we need to talk about is that sometimes people don't leave spaces between sentences. After each sentence, leave a space before the next sentence begins. All right, yo. That's how you answer all these questions, and that's how you like make sure that you improve your conventions, the formal rules of writing in English language. Peace.